Get raped in a ditch. Get raped in a fucking ditch. That's the latest. The latest from Bearing, according to Kay Winty. Get raped in a ditch, Chris. Get raped in a ditch. Maya.
Well, again.
That's what.
I had your consent last time, Chris. What are you talking about? Fuck off. Yeah. So good to catch up. What's news, Chris? What have you been up to, man?
Well, I have left the sleeping police state of Great Britain and moved to Cambodia. I've been here 4 days. I've sorted out my visa. I've sorted out a beautiful apartment, and haven't spoken to an English speaker for 4 days. So this is lovely to have some neutrals on the firm.
Do you know anyone in Cambodia?
I met up with a subscriber. I went out for a drink with one of my subscribers, and it was excellent. You know what? We sat at this bar. Check this out: two bottles of beer each. I then had a cocktail. He had a whiskey, large one, then a pizza. $17.
That's amazing.
Amazing, and the scene was fucking brilliant. It was like when I watched Apocalypse Now when I was 12, and I just dreamt of those lovely views of Saigon, the sort of madness and the colours and the vibrancy. I was sitting there was a little fight going on between these two old women. All the whores were like little mini skirts and sort of makeup running down their faces. There was a couple of meth-addled sort of gutter rats trying to pimp their trade. And the mad thing about Cambodia is, well, one of the many mad things, they actually do say, "Me love you long time." And I'll tell you why. No, they really do. Because they offer two services, well, two temporal services. You can either get an hour in one of the local sort of murder hotels designed for that thing, or you can have the whole night. Now, they earn more money if you have the whole night. The hour's called short time, and the whole night's called long time. So when you start talking to them, they say to you, they go, "You don't need just 1 hour. Me love you long time." Unfortunately for them, just hearing one of them say that, I empty my balls and the service is complete. But an absolute pleasure to be here. Lovely to meet Maya, and always a pleasure to talk to you, Bearing, and hello to everyone in the chat.
It's Maya, mate. It's Hiya. It's Maya. Doesn't make sense, mate. It doesn't fucking rhyme. There'd be no point for the Hiya bit if it was Maya. For fuck's sake, we just discussed that, Chris. For fuck's sake, we discussed it before you were there, mate. You fucking.
Oi, Maya. Do you like the way he just stepped in then, like doing your talking for you? Stand aside, young lady. I'll tell him what your real name is. I'll call him what I fucking want, you Australian jerk. Is trap splaining a thing? Is that a fucking? It is now.
What's going on, Maya? How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
I accidentally navigated away from the video. I'm trying to look at the chat.
You're on.
Okay.
You're on the chat on your phone, I believe.
Yeah.
If I can. A classic mistake to try and follow the chat and talk. It's like being in a time vacuum.
Yeah. It is. So the big issue of the fucking time is obviously Dankula. You've both done videos. You've both done videos on it. They're both good videos. Yeah, fuck. It's an extraordinary situation, isn't it? I think he's the first person to be convicted of telling a joke.
Yeah, I mean, it's to the point, like, the precedent that has been set is that the court is allowed to interpret the context of what is being said, even if nobody else agrees with them, and it should be obvious that the context does not dictate that it should be a crime under the law that he was convicted under. Yeah. So basically, they can punish speech at will now. Like, it doesn't have to. Yeah. They don't.
Yeah, they can do it selectively, and they can do it for just about anything, because they interpret your meaning for you. I mean, it doesn't matter that you know, that Dank uploaded the video to, you know, the comedy section, and it doesn't matter that he even mentions it's a joke in the video, doesn't he? He mentions
he says well, the first thing he said was my girlfriend won't shut up about how cute her dog is, so I decided to turn it into the least cute thing I could think of. And then after, like at the end of the video, he says, "I'm not a racist, by the way. I just really wanted to piss her off."
Plus he's giggling all the way through it. He's sort of, you know, giggling and sniggering all the way through it at the thought of pissing her off.
It's clearly just some guy having fun, and it's.
I think the big problem I've got, there's two things I've got from this whole farce. The first thing is, a lot of people talk about it being the start of something or signifying something, which it does. Obviously, it'll have an impact in the future. But for me, it's a product. It's a product of decades of political correctness. You know, 20 years ago when I was in art college arguing about political correctness, and you had very popular English comedians defending it and saying, oh, we knew what it was like beforehand when people said nignog on telly and things like that. And, you know, I'm not pretending I was some kind of soothsayer, but I was saying that there's bigger implications here. And it's almost like we've been prepared, you know, not intentionally, but certainly deliberately, which is slightly different. And that leads on to my next point, that I can't understand it. I can't actually get a grasp that it has actually happened. It's bigger than my intelligence. I don't know if intelligence is the right word necessarily, but this is huge. This isn't just a couple of videos. This is previously, historically, this is the stuff of revolutions. And this time round, it's the stuff of a few YouTube videos. And that's numbed me. I can't think beyond that.
You know that comedian that did the video, that sort of rant video outside the courthouse? So he made a fucking good point. He goes, the last time and place that someone could be convicted for telling a joke about the Nazis was in Nazi Germany.
Yeah. Well, someone called their dog Adolf or something. It actually happened. There's a dog and a Nazi joke, and the Nazis didn't prosecute. They decided it was all right.
Yeah, they gave up. They thought, nah, this is a bit petty. Yeah.
So I do wonder, this is a point I sort of touched on in my video, and I'm not really sure it would matter, but I think it's interesting to contemplate what would have happened if there was a Second Amendment in Britain. Never mind a First Amendment. What would happen? Like, would the government be pushing this far if they knew that they didn't have a monopoly on force?
What do you mean? What do you mean? A Second Amendment, like the gun one in America?
Yeah, because everybody, like, if you have citizens that all have, like, guns, how tyrannical is a government going to dare to be? Because at that point, they're kind of afraid of their own people a little bit more.
Have you been to Great Britain?
Nope.
No.
And I don't want to. I think I have tweeted so much hate speech at the Met Police just because I can, but if I went there, there's a good chance I'd get arrested.
I think if there was a Second Amendment in this country and people had guns, the most that would happen is someone would walk up to the judge in the street and go, I challenge thee to a duel. It'll be midday on Thursday. If you bring your wife with you, it'd just be nonsense. I can't see that affecting anything, but who knows?
I tell you what was fucking funny? Did you see the Scottish police, the official Scottish police?
They blocked me before I even tweeted at them.
Yeah, they've turned into Steve Shives. They're just blocking everyone because they're getting so much.
Which means that they're blocking their own citizens, which is quite democratic.
Amazing. That's amazing. That's unbelievable.
Well, and it's all this conviction has happened all around the same time as the Brittany Pettibone and Lauren Southern thing and all that. They didn't get into the country, and again, like I say, these things are massive, and the response is muted. It's like Brave New World. It really is, and that's what worries me. Not that it's happened. Governments do shitty things all the time. The law does shitty things, and the law can be changed, and convictions can be overturned. The response is what's worried me. Next to nothing.
By the way, this is
there's a lot of response. There's a lot of talking about it. But I mean, what would you like to see, Chris?
If you look at an example like the poll tax in England years ago, Thatcher changed the household tax. I think it was actually called. I can't remember what it was actually called, but in common parlance, it was called the poll tax. People organised, they got busy. The people, local towns and villages were getting the village hall, and everyone was turning up there to talk about it. Then people stopped paying it, and the deal was there's power in numbers. If enough of us stop paying it, yes, the first few are going to go to court, But they were forming groups and they were making funds and paying different people's fines. They knew they could clog up the system so that eventually it wouldn't work for the government to keep taking people to court. Then there was protests, which turned into riots. I mean, I went up to London. Me and a couple of mates, we had a lump about a quarter of hash between us on the train. Didn't even know the fucking poll tax riots were happening. Got off the train, and it was just thousands of people running down the road, smashing all the windows, overturning cars. It was carnage, and it got stopped. It ended. And for instance, a similar thing. Imagine if thousands of YouTubers made the same video, just not mirrored it, but got a pet or something, taught it to respond to Gas the Jews, uploaded it in their tens of thousands, something that registered the significance of the event. And I don't think that's happened. British media, barely a whisper.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on.
So I've been looking at the chat, and somebody called BK Lee 83, I don't even know how to pronounce that, said, is it even legal for them to block people? And I wonder if they're going to get sued for it. I'm kind of curious because,
well, I mean, a police station's Twitter account. I mean, who knows? Probably not. I would doubt that there's even a fucking
because that's a way to contact the police is through their Twitter account. You tweet at them, and then they'll respond.
Imagine tweeting, police, I'm being raped by two large black men.
Yeah,
well, actually, it would be, hey, look, somebody said something.
And all your cunt mates like it.
If you were getting raped in England, there'd be no reason to call the police. They're all about 5 foot tall, unfit, unhealthy, little fat things. I had a mate the other day get in a load of trouble, violent, so banging on his door. These two fellas, big, dangerous people, called the old bill, managed to get shot of the trouble. And when the old bill arrived, it was like two 21-year-old, 5'2" women. And he was like, what the fuck? Why did you even bother?
Is the old bill the cops? Is that?
The police. I mean, years ago when I was growing up, you had to be at least 6 foot to be in the police. They were big bastards, and they had a level of authority. In Thailand, the police are like that, and you can argue, you can say what you want about the rule of law and its enforcement via the police, but there's very little trouble on the streets in Thailand because there's a basic fear of the police. Not just violence, but of them enforcing the law. You don't have that in England.
By the way,
the police don't have guns, do they? They've got fucking, what are they called, bobby sticks or something.
They have a lump of wood.
Can I just say, really quick, I have 996 subscribers, and I think I'm gonna hit 100 on this stream. So I will say.
You mean 1,000?
I'm gonna hit 1,000. I'm gonna hit 1,000.
Let's get Maya over 1,000. Can 3 people go and subscribe?
Make that magic happen. Speaking about people and their numbers, I don't want to get us off Dankula, but no, go on, I'll save it.
No, you go. You go.
Well, someone sent me a video. It's an old video, but it's Mundane Matt unboxing his 1,000K.
I've watched it.
Now I know I'm late. I'm late to the party with the unboxing, but fuck me, you watched it, did you, Barry? Have you seen it, Maya? You're not paying any attention, young lady.
Yeah, you're just looking at your
down, aren't you?
I'm 1,003. I am Smosh. I am.
Can 6 people please unsubscribe to Maya until she starts paying attention? So Chris was asking, have you seen Monday and Matt's 100,000 subscriber plaque unboxing?
No, I don't watch him.
Right, check this out, Maya. So when you get 1,000 subs, they send you this
100,000. Fucking Jesus.
This little silver blob, plastic spray paint blob in a frame and a letter.
It is actually metal.
It is actually metal. No, I didn't bother, but I've held sugar tits, and they're quite heavy. They are quite heavy.
All right, okay, but anyway, so Monday Matt is on his thing, and he does an unboxing, and you don't know where it's going. Like I say, a mate of mine sent it to me, and he said forward to 3:30 and start watching it, and then he just starts crying. It's like it's like a bad Oscar speech. He's blubbing. He can't control himself. And what's really really disgusting about it is, if you watch it back carefully, it's the key words that make him go that is ugly. It's things like, you know, people have trusted you. Not trusted me. You know, and people have, you know, they've listened to you. Oh my days, it's really quite something. Make sure you watch it. People in the chat, if you haven't seen it, just search Monday Matt unboxing, and god.
Yeah, it was interesting that when I sort of watched it for the first time, I didn't sort of analyze it like you did, but there were certain words, weren't there? And I think at one point you said this guy got bullied in high school. He got fucking bullied.
This is my point, and I tried to say in the video. I mean, I didn't emphasize it too much, but it is without doubt an achievement. I think over 10,000 puts you in the top 1% of YouTube. It's a lot of work. You know, we all know what it's like making videos and all what goes with that, and it's an achievement. But I can't help but think this is a man whose life has lacked affirmation. It's lacked praise. You know, this is someone who's never been praised. That's the response I would expect from your father. Finally, your dad said, "I'm proud of you." You know, not a fucking photocopied letter from one of the most fascist corporations in the world who are going to nick your money in the morning if you say "bum" too many times. And right at the end, when he reads out her name, he goes, "And that's from Susan Washington."
It's fucking not. It's not. Yeah, she doesn't. Yeah, she doesn't know who you are, mate.
No. That's what I said. She'd never even heard of you, and you bloody.
If she'd ever seen any of his videos, she would have probably blamed him for having the wrong opinion.
Yeah.
By the way, Chris, I've just seen your thumbnail thing for the YouTube video, and not very topical.
For the what?
He tweeted out the link to the video, and it's just like the thumbnail is some like.
Steady. I mean, this isn't going to surprise Baron. It's an Asian lady in her underwear.
What for your thumbnail for what video?
No, I put the video, the YouTube link for this up on Twitter, and rather than picture us three, I just put some eye candy in it. It works.
Right, fair enough. Just on the numbers thing. So I'm looking at Social Blade for my bearing channel. That's number, in terms of size, that's number 15,307 on YouTube. So. Wow. So that's 450 odd thousand subscribers. So yeah, it's not that 10,000 or that 100,000 thing doesn't put you in. Oh,
it doesn't. No.
You said the 1%. How many YouTube channels are there? Someone do the maths in chat. Someone with autism.
Yeah, not me. No, I think I saw it earlier because I checked it out because I do like to get my numbers right. Hang on. Anyway, fill the dead air while I'm using my one hand.
Just quickly, Tamari Garcia says, take my brother's money, Patrick. Thank you, brother. Janagi says, if you tweet rape, be sure not to mention that they could be Muslim.
Fucking stroke like these people pay you to read this bullshit, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, though, I was saying off air when you were doing whatever you were doing to Maya that I never set my channel up to earn any money, but it's been a fucking lifesaver with this move. I am blown away by what is a strange new politics of support that this whole thing has created. You know, a product which is essentially free, and people can support it, and how, because I brought up with Maya about people being demonetized and getting their channels and all that cancelled. But if you look at the Darwinian idea of those who can adapt will survive and develop. And I was thinking of Logic. He was totally demonetized. He made a video saying, I will have to get a job because I'm fucking broke unless you can help me. And he's now getting 3 or 4 times as much as he was getting through monetization because he adapted.
His entire channel was demonetized.
Well, you know, in as much as every single video uploaded got an immediate no-no, and he appealed it and it was still no-no. You know, he was earning nothing from it. I mean, pretty much every one of my videos gets a no, but when I appeal it, they seem to say yes. You know.
Same here, but the other thing I've noticed is even if I don't appeal them, like when they're on the yellow, you know, sort of monetized sort of icon, yep. they still make money. They still earn money. Like,
it's interesting, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It is.
You know, it isn't interesting when someone says it's interesting and the other one says, yes, it is, isn't it?
I'm not sure I even want to try to monetize my videos because it seems like a lot of stress for money I don't need, and I think I can like keep ads from appearing on them if I don't try to monetize it, which would be kind of cool. But yeah.
This spiffing Reynard in the chat says 1% of what's that? 1.3 billion is 13,000. 1.3. That's 1.3 billion, isn't it? He's 13th. So the top 1% of YouTube channels is makes up 13,000.
So
Wow.
13,000 subs puts you in the top 1%.
That doesn't make sense.
Sorry, 13 million.
Wait, 13,000 puts you in the top 1%.
I don't think us three are good for this conversation.
I made it to 1,000.
If anyone in the chat can answer this simple question.
I just want to say hi. He is my BFF. Where are you?
Who's that?
The spiffing Reynard. He's like.
He's one of yours, is he?
He's one of my BFFs on Twitter. So I'm gonna say hi.
Very good. Very good.
Oh wait,
so,
no.
Okay, so you are definitely in the top 1% at Patrick. Okay, fair enough. That's all I need to know.
That's.
I feel good now.
That just shows how many freaking channels are out there.
Well, what was it? I've been throwing around the figure for a while that 60 hours are uploaded every minute. But again, researching that Monday Matt video, researching in the loosest possible way, 300 hours a minute at the moment.
Fucking hell.
It's so big. I mean, I knew nothing about YouTube when I started making videos. I still know very little really, but the numbers are mind blowing. You know how small my channel is, Bearing, but I was fucking blown away. My channel has had, I dread to think what yours has had, but mine has had 12 years of viewing. I mean,
it's always interesting looking at that figure, isn't it? It's
I mean, what is yours? Do you know offhand?
Hang on, I'm just having a look.
Yeah, I have my social blade up, so
put it this way, I'll look at the exact number, but I'm pretty sure it's over a millennia. I'm pretty sure.
Wow. I mean, it's a bit like this. Sorry, go on.
It was amazing, like seeing like that Lena Dunham video, like in the first day with 172,000 people watching it. That was nice.
Yeah. I should have mentioned that. So the way Maya and myself met was I made a video about Lena Dunham when what did she do? She tried to stick up for her director mate who'd raped someone. Yeah.
And then she got owned for it for being like completely hypocritical, and then she like apologized, and it was all written saying needed somebody to voice it. And
Sugar Tits was sick. She had a cold, and so I needed someone to voice Lena Dunham. So I said I need someone who can sound like a bitch on Twitter, and you said I can do that and record.
Yeah, luckily I'm on my phone like all the time. Like I was literally about to go for a walk. I drove down because I live in a canyon. I drove down to sort of like right outside of Salt Lake City, and I got out of my car like I'm gonna go for a walk, and I just happened to check my phone, and I might as well say, oh yeah, I can do that. I have kind of a decent mic. It's broken now. Now it is not then. But
how do you break a mic? You just drop it in water.
It had like issues from like the moment I got it, and they just got steadily worse. Like trying to plug the cord into the mic itself was like. Has anybody had like a Nintendo Entertainment System in modern times?
A Nintendo
where you have to
Entertainment
with the
System.
cartridge?
That's fucking really formal, isn't it? A Nintendo Entertainment System.
Or NES, a Nintendo, and whatever it is. You know how you have to get the cartridge like just right, and some are worse than others, but you have to like do that in order for the game to play. It was like that. I felt like I was doing that every time I tried to plug something into the mic, and then it got to the point where it just like it wouldn't like even work at all.
Yeah.
So I like to call that the anal effect. You keep knocking on the door and then suddenly, bang, you're in.
What's going on?
Explain that. Maya's got to understand it. Explain that to Maya.
I got this, and it's way better, so I'm happy.
There you go.
we might leave it then. So, Chris, the exact number is so total watch time on the Bearing channel is 1,077 years and 319 days.
I mean, yeah, it's a bit like what I was saying about the Dankula thing, and us as humans, I should speak for myself, really, me as a human not being able to grasp something. And the YouTube numbers are much like that. I remember when I set up my first business, the first business, still going, was selling lockpicking tools. And I remember they were going pretty well, and I said to my mate who was helping me with the business after a couple of months, I said, well, we should milk this while we can, because obviously we're going to soon run out of people who want lockpicks. And, you know, 12 years later, it's still going, and it's because it's very hard to conceive of the actual scale of things. And that number is ridiculous, what you just read out, you know.
I have like 13,000 minutes. I just checked.
How many?
13,000 minutes. Let me double check. Even that seems like a major. It's 12,790 minutes that other people have spent watching my terrible videos.
If you hover over it, it should put it into like days for you. Which helps you to understand.
No, it just says 12,790 minutes. I wonder if it's
yeah. That's going to be 9 days.
9 days.
Nah. Wow.
But that's still a fucking long time, man. You know, so that's what I'm saying. These numbers are massive.
Yeah.
You only started your channel a couple of months ago, didn't you, Mike?
Yeah, like a little bit over 3 months ago, and I'm already over 1,000 subs. So I'm proud, and a little bit like I had a lot of help to get to that, but it's nice. I feel like I've actually done something productive, even though I've just yelled.
So what's your favorite topic? What do you like making videos about now that you're sort of settled in?
I don't even know. Just like I've criticized like a lot of different stuff, and just occasionally I'll see something and think, wow, that's really stupid, and then I'll call it out. And most of the time that's been like feminists and stuff, but I also did one video on Crowder, and
I saw that. That was just recent, wasn't it? I haven't watched it yet. But give us what's the gist of that? Did you have an issue with Crowder?
Basically, like Texas decided that they didn't want like trans people competing outside of their biological sex. And so they made a rule that made it very difficult to do that. And so some trans man had to compete against women, even though he wanted to compete against men. And he absolutely just destroyed everybody because, you know, he's like hormonally, he's male. Like that's what you do. That's how you transition, is you change like the hormone levels to be like of the opposite sex. And Crowder made a video where he was like, sorry, what?
Go on. No, go on.
Crowder made a video where he was like, you see, this is what feminism does. Like he was like incapable of saying that wasn't what this was, and it was just funny to see the cognitive.
What about when it's the other way around though? What about when it's like like someone who'd been a dude who transitions to a chick and then say has a boxing match with a chick? I mean, that seems pretty wrong to me.
It really needs to be case by case. Like if you.
But how do you do that case by case though? How do you do that?
Well, because if you transition at like puberty, there's a very big difference between that and transitioning like at 30. Like skeletal structure will change depending on your age, and a lot is going to change. Like obviously like your reproductive system is still going to be male, or if you've had the surgery then it's going to be like nothing. But phenotypically, everything that's going to matter in a fight is probably going to be equivalent to the opposite sex if you've like if you transition at a certain age. But also again, like it really depends female to male versus male to female. It really does need to be case by case. And the problem with that is that it's like a nightmare.
I just wonder how you do that case by case. I mean, isn't that the point of having rules? Like rules cover everyone. I mean, if you start having one rule for me, one rule for thee, you know, it gets a bit fucking hard to handle, doesn't it?
You'd have to, it would be a nightmare.
Like imagine something like the Olympics.
Yeah.
Every single, I mean, look at the amount of drugs cheating and the it's very fine lines, isn't it? In the sprinting or whatever, it's fractions of a second. And if you had these rules like you just said, I mean, I know about bone density. Well, I say know about it, a little bit about it, and all things like that. And you know, people would be making sure that they were getting their hormones one day after the ruling or something when they were 13. And you know, that I wouldn't be surprised to see the Russian athletes all being trans men, apart from the gymnasts, apart from the male gymnasts who will be trans women, so that they can jump up or whatever. I mean, I'd be all for that. It's like drugs in the Olympics. Drugs aren't banned from the Olympics. There's loads of drugs you're allowed to use in sports. You're allowed to use the stimulant ephedrine in sprinting, and ephedrine, it's an amphetamine. It's a precursor to make methamphetamine. You are allowed to use some drugs. Now, I would say, fuck it. You should be able to use all drugs. Just come out there looking like loony, drugged up monsters. Can you imagine how good it would be? That javelin is going out of the stadium. That high jump is going to be about 30 foot. The boxing, people's heads are going to cave in. Show me that. Don't pretend it's fucking organic. If it's organic, get a lot of vegans out there and let them compete against each other. And the free market will decide, and every fucker's watching the drug Olympics. No one's watching that other nonsense.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. I mean, if you do that, if you just say, right, we're gonna lift all bans to take whatever fucking enhancing drugs you want. The pharmacists, like the elite pharmacists of the country, suddenly become part of the Olympic team. They're sort of marching in the opening. All that. Part of the team spirit. Yeah.
And imagine the research they'd be doing. You'll have, like, say, the shot putter's going to walk out. He's going to have one arm that she's going to hang down like a penis, and the other one's going to be like a fucking leg. And it's just going to be incredible. I mean, you know, let's look at competitive sports in general. I mean, it's bullshit anyway. That swimmer, I can't remember his name, that swimmer, he wins everything. And they do documentaries about him, and they say he's got long arms, he's got broad shoulders, he's this tall, he's got that. He's genetically predisposed to being a better swimmer than most people. All right, I get that. So what the Olympics really is things like tallest, longest legs. Here's your gold medal, you've got longer legs. It's so fucking boring. Oh, okay, you're genetically predisposed to that. You know, I know why basketball players, tall, lanky basketball players, are better than me at that sport, because they're different bodies to me. I get that. Okay, well done. Clap, clap, clap. Fill it full of drugs, however, now I'm interested.
Yeah, we want to see midgets competing against those motherfuckers and winning. That'd be entertainment.
Can you imagine a midget? Sorry, I've got to say this. Imagine a midget on that basketball court. No one. Let's say he comes from the Soviet Union. Sorry, Russia, and no one's seen him before. And they're thinking, what? And then suddenly he bounces the ball like a fucking. It's like making holes in the ground. He runs up. He runs up one of the other blokes. Runs up their body, sort of thing. He's standing on their shoulders. He slam dunks it, does a pirouette, lands on the floor, bang, let's play. It would be fucking awesome. Sorry,
I wonder where you draw the line, though, at that point. Like, do you draw it at transhumanism? Can we have, like, humans turning themselves into robots?
Fuck it. Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
You can.
Lift all rules.
I mean, and this is a serious point, I think all war should be carried out with robots. We should allocate part of the globe, somewhere useless like Africa, and we should just throw in, just say, right, England, let's say England and China are having a bit of trouble. Or let's take a real situation. North Korea and America, United States, they're having a bit of trouble. Okay, we go out to Senegal or wherever, we've got a bit of scrubland. Get your robots out, like Robot Wars, your premium technology, and have it out there, because that's all you're doing anyway. Who's got the best weapons? Who's got the best defense systems? Who's got the best radar? Yeah, but just avoid the fucking public and the civilized people. Have it over there. Whoever wins gets the land.
Yeah, but it's human nature. It's human nature, though, Chris. Someone will go, "You cheated. You're not allowed to use that technology in your robot. We're going to fucking nuke you now." You know what I mean? And it'll bring people.
That's why I don't get international law at all. Like, who's going to follow international law? Right. Like, wouldn't that fall under that?
What the robot wars? Is that the robot wars in Africa? I'd have to consult a lawyer.
For robots?
When you summarise it like that, Baring, I can see the problem. When you call it the robot wars in Africa, yes, there's some holes in this idea, but you know,
it's a good base though. It's a good base. I think you've got something there.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Isn't there a show like that? There was a show on cable TV that used to have. It was just like an arena, and people would like build robots with like arms coming out and blades on them and shit, just to fuck up the other robots.
They have it in England. It's called Robot Wars, and it's fucking awesome. Brilliant.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's loads of like autists who sit in their garages putting together these amazing machines, and they go out and flip each other, and they've got angle grinders on them and axes.
That'd be pretty fucking rad if you were that way inclined. Like if you had an engineer's brain and you could do all that shit, that'd be fucking fun. Like what sort of weapon can we attach to the robot today? Like you'd have
what I think would be amazing is if you could get someone like kidnap someone from NASA or from one of these top sort of scientific engineering places, get them on your team and get some AI in the fucker. So when it starts learning. And can you imagine that it will just take over? But then wouldn't it be lovely when, imagine your robot on Robot Wars, it's live on TV, it's the final, you feel it full of AI, which is, let's face it, the drugs of robots. This is much like the Olympics, but with machines. AI is like amphetamines to a robot. But then imagine the singularity occurs in your robot, and suddenly it leaves the arena and it's just carving up the audience. And wonderful.
Yeah. You go up to collect your fucking trophy for winning it, chops you in half and claims the trophy itself.
Yeah,
I can see
that is my trophy.
Spot on.
I was watching one of Devon Tracy's videos the other day, and he was talking about there was this girl, she's quite a big YouTuber, can't remember her name, but she told the story of when Lawrence Krauss put his hand up her skirt and sort of put the back of his hand on her minge and all that. And I can't remember why he brings it up, but he suggests that Stephen Hawkins would he have got away with it if it was the same thing? And he done the robot voice, Stephen Hawkins. Oh yeah, no, that's it. Lawrence Krauss says to her, "Oh, this is the same dress you wore last time I met you," and she says that how it upset her. And Devon says, "Imagine having Stephen Hawkins wheel up to you in his chair, stick his hand up your dress." Is this the same dress you wore last time?
God. So apparently Chris is posting videos again. Like,
what's that?
Oh my God, it's Chris. Like, wasn't that who we were talking about? That sounds like the video.
No, we're talking about AIU.
Well, it sounds like he made a video about. Oh my God, it's Chris who made a video about this, because like what she was talking about is that.
Oh, is that her? Is that the woman?
Yeah, she's like.
Oh, right.
She's been around since Gamergate, but she has the most infrequent upload schedule of all time.
That's it. That's her. Okay, yeah, that's her. Yeah, she's Eastern
She hasn't posted in years since, and then she just started posting this, and she's like, "Oh, you guys are all so patient, and I'll try to keep uploading."
Yeah, her Patreon's been carrying on for a year, and she hasn't put a video up for a year. Imagine.
You'd feel a bit guilty, wouldn't you? You'd feel a bit guilty.
Guilty and pretty well off. So, one sort of neutralizes the other in my book.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. Yeah, so what do you, I did watch that video. I don't know if I finished all of it, but did he put his hand up that chick's dress? He went the
she was at some skeptic conference in Zurich, and Lawrence Krauss was in line behind her, and so they talked, they shared a couple of words because apparently they'd met once before, and he was like, "Oh, that's the same dress you wore last time," and then he stuck his hand up the back of her dress and felt her ass.
No. It's much more subtly vile than that, right? So, because she tries to demonstrate it, but she's got her own hand, so it's a bit tricky. But look, people in the chat and your two selves, do this now. You'll be able to work it out. So, if you imagine you've got a little skirt on, so you put your hand up, so the backs of your fingers are on your leg. That's what he done. Then he went up further, turned his hand round, and put his knuckle area on her fanny. What a scientist.
And he acted like he didn't, like this was in front of, this was like in a crowded room.
So
like,
did people
this-
see him do it? Did people sit as witnesses to this?
No, because it was all below sort of waist level. But what the most important thing about the video? Okay, but the most important thing about the video is, and what she says is, she didn't give a shit. It was no big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason why she made the video was that, like, she saw his reaction to, like it's not like she completely didn't care, but she wasn't like traumatized by it, and so she was just gonna forget about it. But then she saw his reaction to everybody else making these allegations, and she thought it was so insultingly dishonest that she wanted to call him out on it, and that's why she made like that video.
I mean, but this is all such bullshit, and it really threatens to sterilize something so wonderful as sex. I can tell you now, when I was at art college, I had girls do things to me unrequested, but they could tell non-verbal cues. I'd be talking to a girl in a bar, things are happening. At no point did I say, you can touch me or I want sex with you, but they were reading non-verbal cues, and they'd put their hands straight down my trousers, grab me by the bollocks. And I remember, this is an exact story. This girl, Claire Corcoran, hello Claire if you're listening, and she grabbed my bollocks and she went, I want to take these home. And it was fucking wonderful. And I'll tell you now, no one's doing that at university today, because, oh man, they'll be lynched by morning. It's such a shame, such a terrible shame. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying famous scientists should backhand the fannies of young women, but, you know, we do threaten to really sterilize and ruin something as exciting as sexuality.
You know, something I saw yesterday that was pretty fucked was I watched a little bit of a stream with Mama Christy Winters and fucking some other cunt and you know, PZ Myers, the college, I think he's a college professor.
Oh,
yep.
PZ Myers, I think it was
have you been blocked by him yet?
What's that? Have you been blocked by him? He said at one point he condemned Richard Dawkins because he goes, oh, he hasn't been accused of assaulting or harassing anyone, but he's good friends with Lawrence Krauss, and so surely he knew something, and he just never said anything. So, you know, I'm condemning fucking, you know, Richard Dawkins. That's fucking ridiculous. He's so fucking stupid.
You know, when you're like 14 and you finger a girl in the playground and you go up to your mates and offer your finger for a sniff. Is this geezer suggesting that Lawrence Krauss, he'd done that thing to that bird, went backstage, went up to Richard Dawkins and put the back of his hand up to him and go, go on, give that enough.
Hey. And no, but the story can't stop there, because for Dawkins to be guilty, he'd have to go, have a sniff of this. Didn't even ask.
And in the background, you two cunts, my wheels don't move fast enough for these things.
God, so it is kind of interesting to think what would happen if Lawrence Krauss tried to do that to me.
Yeah, and of course, but the thing is that
that's not what he's expecting to be there.
Sorry, I missed that. I wasn't sure where you were at the moment. So, oh, amazing. Yeah.
Have I given? I'm not sure people know I'm trans, but yeah. That.
I made some fucking hilariously flippant remark at the start, calling you a trap. I think I hinted at it, but yeah.
It was me.
Oh, I didn't hear this. Okay.
No, it was in a private message to me when he said that you were coming on. I can't remember exactly what it was, but if I'd have read it to you, you'd been most upset.
I made the remark as well. It was hilarious. Rewind it after the stream, you'll laugh. It was quite humorous.
But I'll tell you what. It's quite interesting that you mentioned that. As a lot of people know, I had a 9-year affair with a prostitute who became a madam. When I met her, she was a streetwalker, and by the end of the relationship, she had 3 of her own brothels in Thailand, and she's Thai. And some of the stories she's told me are mind-blowing, but one of the ones that always gets me is the pre-op trans prostitutes who you can't tell. That, you know, they are the most beautiful women you've ever seen, but they still have their junk. But I think because of hormones, you might be able to fill me in on this, their balls are more like a little walnut and the penis has shrunk. Is that right? Have I got that right?
Like kinda, like apparently that's why men get like morning wood and stuff. It's to stop their dick from atrophying. And
Right,
like if
okay.
you don't really get like erections after you've been on enough HRT, so it like shrinks, and also the tissue changes because like dicks and like vaginas are like made out of, I think, like the same flesh kinda. It's just hormones that makes them so different. Like in I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. This is really awkward. But like
so what the chat's wondering is, do you not get morning wood anymore?
No, I don't.
Okay, fair enough.
Nor do you, Barry, be honest. Hang on, I've got to tell you this story. I've got to tell you this. So I said, I was watching a lot of geezers going out the back with the ladyboys essentially, and I said to my girlfriend at the time, I said every time one of them went out with one of the ladyboys, I said, does he know? And she'd sort of say, I don't know, and all this, and then at one point I said, well, if he doesn't know, he's going to get a shock, isn't he? And she went, no, because what they do once they've turned them over and they've got them erect, they get on top of them and they slip it up the back door without the geezer knowing, and that happens day in, day out in thousands of brothels across Thailand.
I feel like you'd find out though. Come on.
Well, I said exactly that, and she said it happens. It happens all the time. And I had to think back because I've had thousands of Thai prostitutes, and I've had thousands of them do that. They've ridden me, and it's just dark in there, and I don't know. There's probably a good chance I've gone in the outdoor accidentally or unknowingly. I mean. But yeah.
surely, if you're in Thailand where there's a heap of ladyboys, they look really convincing, you'd have a squeeze, you'd have a look.
I've had plenty. Yeah,
I feel
without a doubt. The first one, Baron, I think the first massage I ever had in Thailand, I didn't know it was a ladyboy, and she was sucking my cock, and then she gave me an uppercut, but didn't stop sucking my cock, and then I noticed that she
gave you a what?
She was sucking my cock, and no, she was wanking me off at first. And I got more aroused than I thought I would be. I mean, sorry to the chat if you've heard this a few times, but when I got more aroused, I said, actually, can we do the boom boom, which is their word for fuck? And she said to me, I haven't had the operation. And I was sort of like, but I was so aroused. And from the bollocks up, she was one of the most beautiful women I'd ever seen. So I said, well, why don't you just suck my cock then? So she's sucking my cock, and it was pretty good, and it was kind of good because it was a lady, but I was thinking, this is filthy. I mean, 10 minutes before I'd been gambling on kids fighting, and I'd only been in Thailand for an hour, and I was thinking, they'll fucking landed. This is the most amazing thing. But as I'm sort of there,
hang on. What's the uppercut you're referring?
I'm getting. Sorry, I do.
Okay, all right. Sorry, we're getting. Okay, go.
He's sucking my cock, and I'm loving it. I'm in the standing up position, like doing the old hand on the back of the head, and a bit more. Go on, you can do a bit more. All that, and then out of nowhere, because I've got my eyes shut and I'm sort of up, chin up towards the skies, loving it. Crack. And a man's arm on a woman, on a female body with fingernails on is a dangerous weapon. It's caught me on the chin. I've sort of come out.
She belted you. Right.
Yeah, I did not stop sucking my cock. And then for the next 5 minutes, we had a sort of a fight, sort of a blowjob fight. She kept attacking me, lacerating me with her nails, but I come in her mouth and it was all good again. I've still got a wobbly tooth.
Why did she ever explain why she fucking attacked it? Why she belted you? Or was it just...
No, and don't get me wrong, I wasn't sort of all happy with it. Most of the time I was trying to get the fuck away from her, but I remember because my trousers weren't down by my ankles, they were around my thighs, and she's got hold of my belt, so she's kind of fucking got me. So while she keeps laying into me with her right hand, she's holding onto my belt and keeping my cock in her mouth, and she kicked the shit out of me. But once I come, she done the usual Thai prostitute thing. Out come the wet wipes, cleaned me up, took the money off me, and sent me on the way. It was quite weird, actually. I had to go and have sex with a girl just to convince myself I wasn't turning.
Yeah, that's a fucking different one. Fucking hell, you're always good. You're always good for a story, mate.
That's all I've got left. I'm so old.
I told I time-stamped the fucking. Remember the last chat we had where you told the story about the fucking garden gnome? I made Maya listen to that before we.
That was really gross, but it was also really, really funny.
I'm doing a fan art competition, and you can imagine a channel the size of mine. It's not going to be a long video, but one of them is fucking brilliant. It's a very good cartoon of me with my pants down and a gnome next to me. It's the final scene of that story. Actually, no, it's mostly. I'll ping it out on Twitter for you. Sorry,
have you seen my picture? Yeah, I turned my camera off so you can see it. That's fan art that somebody made for me like a long time ago. Well, not like a whole. I haven't been on YouTube for a very long time, but this was like when I was just starting my channel. Somebody made me this picture, and it's adorable, and I'm happy.
Hang on, how am I going to see this?
What?
Oh,
it's my profile picture.
It's
there
you go with the big eyes.
Yeah. So
they
cute.
turn up in the Quran, don't they? The young short girls with the big wide eyes.
What?
In the Quran, Muhammad talks about the young girls with the big wide eyes. Sexually.
What's the story there? What's the significance of the big wide eyes?
Well, it's kind of left up to your imagination, but it's innocence, it's youth, and it's quite frightening.
Okay. Yep.
Well, having said that, just before I left England, I was dating a 21-year-old girl. Oh my days! Oh.
21-year-old. How old are you? You're in your early 40s.
I'm 40. I'm 40 something. Middle, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm 4 years older than her dad.
Did you ever meet him?
No. Can you imagine? Shocking. Oh, actually, I've just thought she might be watching this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, shit.
I'll tell you what, though. Hang on, let me tell you this, Barry. It was well funny. When I'm at this restaurant, I'm at this hotel, and I'm proper trying to impress her. I've got a nice hotel. I'm in the cocktail lounge. Got a 3-piece suit, a nice tie, polished my shoes, and I'm waiting for her. And she turned up, and she had this big old coat on, a pair of jeans, and a pair of trainers. And I was gutted. I like a dolly bird. I'm terrible for it. I'm a sucker for it. And that's not what appeared. But I thought, well, be nice. And then she came up to me, and I was like, oh, hi. And she went, no. She went, the evening hasn't started yet. And I was like, hey. She went, give me the card. I went, what do you mean? She went, I've got to go and get changed. And I went, why? And she went, I couldn't walk out of the house in my outfit. Oh, God, I nearly come as soon as she said it. And then she's run upstairs, and half hour later, she come down semi-naked, and she's walking through the bar, and all these sort of single men on their business trips, half pissed on whiskey, were looking at me. Hi, I'm with her.
Okay, how did you land her, Chris?
I'll tell you what, I was in Soho, where I used to live. She was walking down the road with her friend, and they were so hot. Like I say, a pretty face and a sexy outfit, and I'm in the tractor beams. And I just sort of zoomed. I'm like a fucking fly to a bug light. I'm just walking towards her, and half of me, my conscious self is going, don't do it. And the other side, no, fuck, I'm doing it. And I've just walked up to her, and I went, hi, you're exceptionally beautiful. I had to say the pair of you, and and then I just give them a business card and said, if you want to go out for tea or something or lunch, just let us know. Half hour later, she rang me up. The rest is sordid history.
Fucking hell, that's that's
she's
good.
Coming out here to stay. She's going to come and stay here soon. So happy days.
Nice one, nice. So to go back to we're heading up to an hour. We'll cut this off soon. But going back to the Dankula thing, I think that's a sort of topic of the day. What should your gut feels? What do you think will end up happening with the verdict? Well, with the sentencing.
I think there might be an appeal, but I don't know. I think he'll get prison. Like apparently the judge was asking, looking for sentencing guidelines or something. Looking into prison or something. It could be bad. I'm really scared.
Yeah, well, I told him. I mean, if because he mentioned that there might be an issue with appealing because of the funding it, and I mean, fucking hell, if there's ever anything that I think people would be willing to back, it would be an appeal to this verdict. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, if he started to GoFundMe, he would have no issues. But he doesn't want to do that.
Yeah, well, I keep telling him. I think he should. I think if if it's a bad outcome, then fucking then I think a lot of people would be willing to back your appeal. I
I'm
certainly
also
would.
a little bit worried about Sue. Like, it's been really hard for her, and maybe he doesn't want to like drag her through this anymore.
Right.
I don't know.
In
but I mean,
terms,
it's either that
Like,
or
the media are like harassing her now, trying to get stories and things.
oh, fucking hell.
It's bad.
in terms of the actual person, Marcus and his family and people he loves, I wouldn't want him to go to prison. In terms of the actual event, it might wake people up. You know, that might be the catalyst for people to go, hang on, this has got to stop. We need to do something. You know, if he gets a bit of community service, that's where I put my money. He'll get 50 hours cleaning up fucking town hall or something. But
I hope.
it would almost get the ridiculous legal process off. You know, they've made their point. They can fuck you up for a couple of years. They can scare the shit out of you, ruin your chances of employment later in life, etc., etc. But they didn't quite do enough to cause a real situation. And in a way, that's darker.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think it's the 23rd of April or something. He goes back for sentencing.
Yep.
Thought about doing a live stream for it, Baron?
Well, I was thinking. I mean, because there was talk about sort of doing a rally type thing outside of I forget whether it was Glasgow or London, but I was sort of thinking if that happens, I might sort of find a couple of people who can take it in terms of streaming it for me on their phones, and I'll cast it onto the Bearing channel so it gets a bit of coverage.
Yeah, good idea. You know, I'm only 6 hours from Melbourne, by the way. I'm coming out there to see Devon, so I'll come knock you up. That won't what
Devon. I feel bad actually. I was meant to catch up with Devon over Christmas, New Year's, and I just kept fucking getting busy. So a few times I go, oh, tomorrow, man, tomorrow. I got busy. I still haven't fucking seen him. So do that. It'll give me a good excuse to get off my ass and come.
I met up with Devon a couple of times in London. He's fucking great company. He's a very different person to what you see on YouTube. Not that that's not a nice person, but an absolute pleasure. We were walking in Regent's Park, arm in arm.
Like I've seen like some of his streams where people comment, "Wow, you're actually nice on your streams."
Yeah, no, he's a lovely guy.
He's a cunt on his streams. You remember that fucking why can't I ban Bearing? He's a fucking cocksucker.
I love him. I love him. I mean, Maya, you know what you said earlier about you had people help you with your YouTube channel to start it up?
Yeah, I got so many shots. Speaking of Dankula, he let me onto a lot of his streams.
Yeah.
So
well, I was hindered. I was terribly hindered. I'll keep it quick. So I'd been watching these Ukrainian 14-year-olds managing to have YouTube channels for about 5 years, and I just could not sort it out. So I asked this bloke called Bearing, and I Skyped him. And he told me to use Camtasia. So I fiddled around with that for 9 months and nearly sent myself mad. Luckily, real help arrived in the form of Devon Tracy. And he went, get on OBS. Fuck what Bearing says. He doesn't know anything. And now I've got a channel.
Do you use purely OBS to make videos and that? Like not just
yes, but I use Google Hangouts for streams and OBS. But I mean, you know, let's be honest, my channel's aesthetic is intentionally lo-fi, so OBS is perfect. You know, it's rough around the edges. But having said that, I've been using OpenShot to edit, but I've reached my limit with that. I need something a bit better, but not like professional. So I'm looking for something mid-range now.
Try Camtasia.
Fuck you! I knew it was coming.
I just used iMovie and PhotoWiz. But fun story: my first video that I did, Bearing said he would look at it just to make sure it didn't suck. And I had almost finished it, and I figured whatever, I just need to do like the end titles. It's not like presentable, but you can tell whether or not it sucks. So I uploaded the unfinished version, and I made it unlisted, and I sent it to Bearing, like intending for nobody to see it. He was like, oh, that's great. And then he just tweeted it out. So now I have two versions of that video.
I didn't know that was private. Did you?
Yeah. So now I have two versions of that video that both have roughly the same views, but I got like 60 subscribers pretty much instantly from that, so I can't really complain.
It's all right, Maya. I mean, as your and my example goes to prove, amongst YouTubers, everyone knows Bearing tries to sabotage other channels. It's all right.
That's right. I'm sabotaging you right now. I'm waiting until it's streaming. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, look, we might end it there. It was a good chat. Any parting words you want to tell anyone to get fucked or anything?
Other than like sub to my channel.
Yes.
I don't know how to shill things. But I've got subs. So thank you to everybody who did sub. I'll say that. And
how many subs do you have? What did we get?
I have 1,029 now.
1,020. Come on, we can do better than that. There's 315 people watching this stream. All
right. Well, my real parting words are that I just hope Marcus is okay, and everybody sub to him as well.
Yeah.
And
just honestly, Maya makes good videos. You should sub to her. Go.
I hate all my videos, but thanks.
That's quality promotion. And Chris?
Yeah, I have a YouTube channel. Do that if you want. Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me on. Nice to meet you, Maya. We'll talk again, I'm sure, and look after yourselves. And Deza, when I've settled in a little bit, like I say, I'll come over to Melbourne and we'll have a beer. It'd be lovely to meet you.
Yeah, it'd be good. All right, guys. Thanks again.
Hang on, I just want to clarify. I mean, meet your missus, but I'm being polite.
Take care. All right, catch it.
Bye.